Hello everyone and welcome to another live streaming event. Today we are going to be discussing the Vercel AI SDK. First, let's discuss a bit what is exactly Vercel AI SDK. It's an AI toolkit for TypeScript. TypeScript is kind of the enhanced version of JavaScript, a typed version. So I don't know. I shouldn't probably speak too much about JavaScript. It's currently probably the most popular programming language for developing user interfaces on the web, and much broader than that, of course. But Vercel is the company behind Next.js, which is currently the most popular framework based on React for building web applications. So this AI SDK is free, it's open source, and it gives you tools to build AI-powered products that you can deliver on the web, of course. So it has this unified provider API, which means that you can easily, just by changing one line of code, switch between different AI providers. You can start by using whatever, OpenAI, and then end up using Google or Anthropic. So it has this generative UI paradigm. It allows you to create dynamic AI-powered user interfaces, which really amaze users. I mean, it amazes me. I hope that it will amaze you by the end of this stream, so bear with me. It is framework agnostic, so even though they are a company behind Next.js, it is compatible with React, Vue, Next, SvelteKit, and other JavaScript frameworks. So one important thing which you might just take for granted is this streaming ability. So in this animation, you can see the blocking UI versus streaming UI concept. So imagine this. If you ask an LLM, I don't know, something that will probably generate a lot of text. Maybe we can ask it, okay, describe, I don't know, planet Earth in 300 words, let's say. So with the blocking UI concept, you will have to wait for the entire text to be generated, and then it will kind of just spit it all out, and you will get it all at once. Versus streaming UI, which you are definitely used to if you use ChatGPT and similar tools. When you ask a question, it starts streaming the response, so you get the chance to start reading as it generates the rest of the text. So Vercel AI SDK offers both of these concepts, the latter, of course, being much more favorable for users because you want to start delivering the response as soon as you can. So I'm going to show you this crucial difference, how it's done. It's really not many lines of code, and you will be able to see for yourself the very difference and the benefit this brings. So as I've mentioned, the Vercel AI SDK is free to use, although they offer hosting of generated apps that you build with some of their tools, this included. By the way, most major AI providers are also using their hosting. So for instance, Anthropic, OpenAI are their clients as well. So they're pretty good company, really recommend it. If you don't have any other options, it's definitely a good one for your future AI product. So the Vercel AI SDK consists of two major parts, or three, let's say. AI SDK core is one part of the SDK, and it provides kind of the backend services, the connections with various APIs, LLMs, etc., and then processing of the data, caching, retrieving and saving and retrieving the data to a database, etc. And then you have AI SDK UI or AI SDK RSC. So the AI SDK UI is a way, or I should perhaps say, it enables you to connect the data with the user interface. So it helps you to bring that data out and present it to a user so that user can interact with LLMs, etc. And AI SDK RSC, React Streaming Components, is pretty similar to AI SDK UI, except it allows you to use this really good feature of React, which kind of enables you to include certain components, like certain UI, user interface components, in your response by generating those components on the server and including those components in your response. So you'll see that demo as well. Now, AI SDK as a unified API for generated text and structured objects and tool calls with LLMs means that apart from other things that I've mentioned, it also brings you the ability to build tools. What are tools? This concept has been presented about year and a half ago, and it's actually giving LLM an ability to use a function call to fetch some data from the real world, which is not available in the training data for a model. For instance, if you want to know the temperature today in Belgrade, an LLM doesn't know that. So it needs to ask a provider of that data via the API to tell it what the temperature is. So in order to do that, we need to build an agent, a tool, which has a good description of what this tool does. Meaning, for this example that I just gave, we would probably say this tool fetches the temperature for the provided city. And then LLM knows when you ask it in a chat or wherever, and interaction with it, to use this tool if it's asked for a temperature. And we can build as many tools as we want. Another tool example that I'll give in a moment is a tool that fetches the conversion for, I don't know, a currency to currency. And these are kind of just the most basic examples. But I will also, in the end, try and build one tool from the scratch, which I haven't prepared in advance. So I have no idea how that's going to go. It's just going to be live coding, which I love, by the way. And I'm going to also show you how I use other AI tools, such as Microsoft Copilot in Visual Studio Code, maybe ChatGPT, who knows, maybe even Perplexity, and the rest of the tools that are available to build this. Is going to be fun. So AI SDK, as I've said, a set of framework agnostic hooks for quickly building chat and generative user interfaces means that it just allows you to, with a few lines of code, have a quickly built user interface that you can later style to arrive really quickly to the MVP, minimum viable product that you can then test if it works and delivers the result as you expected. So AI SDK RSC, like It streams generative user interfaces with React Server Component, as I've already explained, but it's currently in the development. So this AI SDK UI, I think that it became stable maybe 6 months ago, but it's already kind of the old news, because AI SDK RSC is the big news right now for Vercel when it comes to AI. Now, it supports really lots of different models. So these are currently supported models. I think, no, I'm sure that you can even build your connector to, I don't know, your model that you've built and you're running it on your own infrastructure perhaps, or any other model that they do not currently support. Now, one important thing to mention about Next.js, if you're not familiar with this framework, and why is this so popular today, is actually because of something called static site generation, or SSG for short, the middle one here in this diagram. So it's kind of going back to the roots. I don't know, maybe 20 years ago when I started coding, or 15 years ago when I maybe built my first website, I don't remember. I used to work with Macromedia Dreamweaver, which was a really nice kind of tool to help you build HTML-based websites. You know, there weren't many kind of dynamic websites. Dynamic website being one that pulls the data from the database, processes the data, and then renders this on server and brings the result back to the user. So what we did back then was mostly hard coding everything into as many pages as we could, or we should, and then we just uploaded everything via FTP to our server, and then server served that back to a client. So let's neglect that the internet speed wasn't that great 15 years ago, but the serving speed was at the max, because all that web servers such as Apache, or I don't know if Nginx even existed back then, had to do was to fetch the file from the disk and just throw it back at the user. So no rendering on server, maximum speed. So Next.js kind of goes back to that paradigm. So in our first slide, we have kind of the traditional way, the way we've built websites for the past, I don't know, 10 years, which is a client requests a page, then it goes to the server renders the page, and then gets it back to the client. This is SEO friendly way, because if, I don't know, Google or any other crawler crawls your website, it will retrieve all data that's coming from the server. In the contrast to single page application paradigm, which essentially only pulls the templates to your browser, and it's basically an empty page, and then it creates another batch of API calls to populate that empty template with data. So if your website is built like that, and Google or any other crawler crawls your website, all it sees are empty pages. Of course, they also have JavaScript enabled crawlers, but this is not SEO friendly. It's considered being not SEO friendly. Now, SEO friendly way of doing things much faster is to build your website with the same concept, like build just templates, then have some other data in your API. You want that data to populate the pages, but what Next.js does is it actually does that during the build time. So you run this command from the command line which generates as many pages as it needs to, and then it stores those files on the disk like 15, 20 years ago, and then it's super fast when it's being served. It's so fast that you have, I don't know, if you go to our website, orangehill.dev, you can see how fast it is because it's using Next.js in the back. And it just, prefetches pages, and it's like clicking a desktop app. So it's a really good concept, but where it falls short is, if you have like millions of pages, like if you're running a big e-commerce web shop, I mean, you would probably have to wait a couple of days to build the entire cache of those pages. That's where ISSG comes in, incremental static site generation concept, which basically generates the pages on the fly for the first user, and then it caches it, and then the second or any other subsequential user that comes to your website will get the cached version. Of course, there's a control mechanism to expire certain pages, etc., to invalidate the cache, but all in all, Next.js is the way to go. Not to say that other frameworks are not doing the same thing, maybe some even better, but Next.js is like industry standard for now for static site generators out there in JavaScript. So in our concept, where we are using Next.js to stream the AI responses, it's obviously not SEO friendly because we don't know what the question is going to be and the response, but we have all these other components ready and available for us to build a complete website. It's probably better to say a complete service using just one tool. So Next.js also has this kind of backend building functionality to build APIs. So it's not only for the front end. You can also build API routes with it, which can access various data and services and APIs like we're going to see in a minute. So I just warmly like to recommend this if you need if you need the development of Next.js websites, you can talk to Orange Hill. That's our main tool also of choice. But let's move to the live coding part. Our first example is going to be a page that renders text. I mean, just generates text when I click this button. So before we generate the text, let's just quickly explore the code. It's not that complex. As you can see, our page, which is our front-end component built with the UI part of the AI SDK, it has only... Actually, this page is not using AI SDK at all because we've built this API route that brings us back the response. So this is just the text generation. It on a click of a button here, it just sets the loading indicator to true. It then posts the query, why is the sky blue, to our LLM and targets this API completion route. So where is our file for that generates the API response? So it's here. It's in API completion route TS. So this folder structure is actually how you're doing the routing in Next.js. And you can see that it loads the OpenAI provider here from the AI SDK. And all we had to do was in our .env.local provide an API key, which I'm not going to show. And then we have our OpenAI model ready to work with. So we are actually using the generate text method, which has the model specified and it has a system prompt. So what is a system prompt? It's a way to set certain behavior for a model before it starts conversing with the user. So for instance, we might just say you are a helpful assistant, or we might have said you are an expert in software development. You, I don't know, work with Next.js, and you will provide I don't know, advice to our users when asked. So this will, with a bit of prompt engineering, prime the model to act as a certain type of expert, or provide maybe response in certain tone, complexity, etc., etc. And then it accepts the prompt, which is our string received through the API call. So let's see how this works. So let's fire up our console and look at the network response here. When I click generate, it starts loading and then it completes. So you can see there it took a bit of time. Actually, it took, let's see, where is, all right, timing. All right, it took 1 second and 94 milliseconds. And the response was, just a JSON object with a text that you can see here displayed on the screen. So we can do it again. Just pay the attention how long it takes for a model to respond. So it's kind of lame. You don't know really why is it taking so long. You become impatient and so on and so on. But let's do another example. So our version 2 is streaming text. So let's see how that looks in VS Code. So right now we are using the Vercel AI, the use completion hook. That's why we need to specify this script as use client. And then what we are doing here, we have our use completion defined to target the API endpoint API stream, which is over here. We'll take a look at this file in a second. And we have the initial input, why is the sky blue? So that it appears here that we don't have to type it, we just need to click submit. And then we have some HTML to style the page a bit, and really not much further than that. We have our button and we have our container where we will display the completion, which comes back from the use completion method, destructured as we see it here. So let's just hit submit here and also keep our network tab opened. And you can see the text streaming. So this was kind of brief. Let's try something longer. Describe planet Earth. And you can see how it neatly streams. So, this is the behavior that we're used to when using like complex, top-level LLM chats. So our stream API endpoint seems like even maybe more simpler. Yeah, it's exactly the same lines of code if we delete this comment. But you can see that there's this max duration, how long the streaming is allowed to stream. For 30 seconds. And apart from that, really not much. This time we are using OpenAI model GPT 3.5 Turbo. Here we used GPT-4. And we're just feeding it a prompt. And then we just stream that back to the user. It's as simple as that. And now for the kind of the most important part. This is our streaming React components example. So let's just close this remove the distraction. So what I've built here as a demo is like just straightforward chat like you've used it. So I can talk to it. When I say hello, it responds. Let's try describe planet Mars to say the streaming. Yeah, it streams. So it acts real nice. And it's, I mean, neatly styled. I've just spent like maybe 10-15 minutes in Visual Studio Code. Let's open that component to give it a bit of styling here with Tailwind CSS. So I'm going to show you how this is done. So this is kind of annoying because, you know, as soon as this kind of sidebar appears, the scroll bar appears, I'd like to have some padding here. So let's see. I just gonna add some padding, and the Copilot will add some padding. And all right, here it is. Looks much better. So let's dive into the code a bit. So the front end is really not that much, even though it has like 82 lines of code. But in essence, it's mostly due to the styling part. So we have our button here. We have our input here, which accepts this text. We've set it that on change, it executes the setInput function defined here. And above we have our container, like message container, which is this element. And then it holds the messages. So we receive an array of messages from our backend. And then we are just iterating over those messages to print the messages out. So all in all, I mean, it all boils down to printing this. The msg.content, it's accessing the content of this object that we receive from the backend, and pretty much that is it. But up above, we have our stream component, which we load from the actions. And the actions is another component which is similar to the API routes, which I've demoed a moment ago, but it actually connects slightly differently to the front end, and it allows streaming. So within our action TSX, which you might consider as our backend, right? We have a number of methods. So we have getWeather method or a function which pretends to fetch the weather data for a given location. So I didn't go into pain to connect to the actual API because, you know, it would just take time and it's not really useful for our presentation. So I've just generated a random temperature from 20 to 30 degrees for a given location, and that is it. Then we have our weather component, which is just a React component, which renders some HTML nicely styled with the text, the weather in location is weather, which is returned by the getWeather function, which should be temperature in degrees Celsius. And we also have another function which pretends to get the conversion rate and accepts parameters from currency, and then it returns to a different currency, let's say euro, And it also simulates the API delay by introducing 1.5 second wait, and it has some predetermined values that it will always return. It's 0.85 or $1, etc. And then it just mocks those rates and returns to the parent that calls this method. And we also have the conversion component, similar to the weather component above. It's just another React component which has some nicely styled HTML like a div container, and then it has some placeholders where it will say amount, like when we say $100 to euros, it will just replace this with 100. This will be USD is equivalent to whatever the converted amount is to euros. And then we have our main component, like the stream component, where we define some things. Like for starters, we define the model like we've done within our API routes above. And then we receive an input. So this input could be anything. It could be, hello, describe planet Earth, like I've done a moment ago. But it could also be a prompt that will yield the return from our methods to fetch either the temperature or the currency conversion rates. So the way that we describe these tools are in a tools object actually. So the first tool we have is get weather, and the second tool is get conversion rate. So like I've mentioned before, a description is important because this description is a way for an LLM to know what this tool does. So this one, get the weather for a location, and this one, convert any currency to euro. And we have our parameters. So this one accepts only location, like our city. This other one accepts from currency, which could be USD or GBP or whatever, and the amount. And then it just goes and performs this asynchronous function of generating the content. When we say it, you should yield the loading component, which is another component which will just display a nice kind of loader to our users, so that they know that they need to wait for a moment before that becomes the result becomes available. But in our get weather method, we are calling the actual data and getting the data, storing it into the weather variable, and then using our weather React component, which I've shown above here. And that component accepts location and weather parameters. So we are providing that because we know the location here and we know the weather from this API call. And then we're done. And the same thing goes for our generate property for the get conversion rate tool, which uses like conversion component with props from currency, amount, and converted amount. All right, so let's see this in action. Right. Let's first try the temperature one. What is the temperature in Belgrade? You can see the loader processing, and then we have the weather in Belgrade is 24 Celsius, which is a randomly generated temperature. But you could see that LLM was smart enough this time to use the tool rather than hallucinating what is the temperature. So we might try what is the temperature in London. The weather is in London is 29. So yeah, I can just continue the conversation. Yeah, 29 is really nice for London, don't you think? Yeah, 29 is quite warm from London, especially considering it's typically mild and often rainy climate. It's a great temperature for enjoying outdoor activities. Yeah, I agree. Let's try the other tool. So the other tool would be convert, I don't know, 100 USD to EUR. It's processing, and we can see that 100 USD is equivalent to 85 euros, or we could just say 100 GBP to EUR, and it knows how to use the tool. But if we don't have a tool, it would, I don't know, either politely excuse itself that it doesn't know the answer, or probably hallucinate a bit. So let's try something else. What could we try? Something that revolves in real world data. I'm blank. Let's try. What is my view count in YT right now? I'm streaming. And it says, I'm unable to access real-time data such as your YouTube view account. You can check your current view count directly on your YouTube dashboard or streaming interface. So if I built this tool, which would be a really nice idea if I had, I mean, I could have just, you know, get the real number of people viewing this right now. So let's get to the final part, which is live coding, and it's gonna be really fun. So I want to build, and this is the only part that I prepared up front, a tool that will fetch it will search the artwork database of Chicago Art Institute. So why Chicago Art Institute? Is because they don't require any registration or any, you know, API keys to access their data. So I've used their documentation to quickly try an API call. So I'm actually using the Q parameter to search for certain subjects. So in this case, I've searched for artwork that contains ships, and I'm asking it to return just the title, artist display, and image ID. So image ID is what's important to fetch the actual image, and this is the URL template to fetch the image. So if I just replace this part with an image ID, I get the image, and I can see that this image contains some ships. Let's try dogs. I don't know. Send. Let's see if there are any dogs in this picture or whatever art form it is. Okay, yeah, there's a dog here. Nice. So let's try and build a neat UI that will actually display the artwork in our chat. So I'm going to ask it to, like I just searched for dogs, I would say, can you show me some artwork of whatever the subject might be? And I hope that it will try to use this tool to fetch the data, the actual data from this API, and show me the pictures in my user interface. So another tool that Vercel has built is the V0. V0 allows us to create user interfaces using generative AI. So it's a really super complement to their AI SDK. It's not a part of it, but you can use it to generate React components, which you can then reuse within your app. So let's ask it actually to save time, ask it to build a component that we will use to then display our artwork. So okay, let's concentrate here. So I'm building a React streaming component that will show, I don't know, let's say 5 pictures of artwork from a museum. The data is available via API. I'm providing a sample image. Use it to generate UI example. I want the first image to be, or to take up 50% of the available widget space, and the other 4 will take up the rest. I want one like here and the other 4 next to it. What else? Okay, let's go back to Postman and look at what else do we have. We also have the artist display. Italy, okay. Let's use this as an example. I also have these data points on the artwork. Include that in the UI. Artist display, and another one is a title. Okay. I'm not going to say whether I should put it above or below an image. I'll let it handle it. So what else? Yeah, I need to download this picture. How can I do that? Probably copy this and go to the browser and then save default. Then go here, upload the photo. All right, downloads, default. Okay. I'm not sure how this is going to look like, because certain images are portrait and some other are landscape oriented, but I don't know. Let's see. Okay. I'm just going to hit it. Okay. So it's thinking. I think first it's going to kind of describe what it'll do, and then similar to the tools that OpenAI and Anthropic have, like the canvases, it will just spit out the code and then it will switch to preview. And most of the times when we're building this, it's kind of, not really showing much. But yeah, I think this is probably what I wanted, though yeah, all right, nice. When I hover over, it just shows the image, like data, the author, and a title. I like that. It didn't use my image actually, and there's certain misalignment with image size, I think, and let's try and tighten that up. Can you please tighten up, tighten up the layout. And I'm just going to provide this screenshot to it so that you can see what it did. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with this screenshot. Well, V1. All right, let's upload this. It's not aligning well vertically. Let's see how it does. I mean, sometimes it goes well, sometimes it takes a bit of experimentation. So to tighten up the layout and improve the vertical alignment, I'll modify the existing React component. Here is the updated version. Okay, loading artworks. It seems pretty much the same. Okay, I'm not gonna fiddle with it anymore. Maybe I'll try another LLM to fix this up if I have time, but in essence, I'll just go with this. And a way to add this to a code base is to actually go here and run this command to add this block to your code base. So I'm just going to do that. And then in my terminal here, so we'll do Vercel AI SDK demo. And I'm just going to paste this and run it. It'll install this package. You need to create, all right, yeah, I can create that, not a problem. Default, the base color, I don't know, neutral. Do you like to use CSS variables for theming? Why not? Something went wrong. Yarn add tailwind animate class. All right. Merge warning package locked JSON found. Your project contains log files generated by tools other than you. I don't think that's a problem, but yeah, right. Let's try to copy this and go to. All right. Let's let me do this. Let me prepare my Claude instance in another window. Okay. All right. Just add it here. And I will just say, all right, you're senior software engineer versed in creating JavaScript websites. You will help me with my work. Okay. All right. So we prepped the model, and I will just go and say I have this problem when using Vercel's V0 tool. And it's always nice to have these delimiters because it kind of clearly marks where your context you're providing is divided from the command that you're giving it. All right, so I mean, I'd probably be able to arrive to a certain conclusion by myself, but it's just, you know, too much text to read. And most of the time, I'm fine with installing installing, sorry, I'm reading while I'm speaking. So I'm fine with LLM solving the problem for me. So it just says that node versioning compatibility is the problem. So it expects 18.18 and it has 18.16. So yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. Let's just do nvm use 18.23. All right, and rerun the command. Okay, seems it's done. So let's switch back to our VSC. And in our components, we should see our artwork gallery component. And yeah, it's here. Seems good. All right. And it returns some mock data here. Actually, I'm gonna try and see if this component works in the first place by creating a new route. I'm gonna create a new folder test, and then I'm gonna just go and say new file, and then page tsx, which is a default file name for a new route, and then I'm just going to use this as a template, and I'll just remove all this and try to use my artwork gallery component. So artwork gallery, artwork list, function artwork card, artwork gallery. What is the exported one? Export default. Let's put it this way. No, I'm messing things up. All right, export gallery, artwork gallery. Yeah, this is the one that should be important. And you can see the code completion here, where it actually goes in and completes the code for me. And I just need to hit tab because it knows that there's a artwork gallery component in my components folder. And that's it. And now I'll just, just go in and let's see, I need this as well. I'm just gonna go and it knows that I will just use the artwork gallery component here, but I have some extra. Let's go and test this. All right, test. Okay, so it kind of loaded the artwork. It's not finding anything because it tries to load the artwork from these make-believe URLs, which actually don't exist, but if I gave it one that exists, like this one, it should probably work better. I think hold on a second. Did I mess something up? Okay, use client to module. That was okay, maybe without this. What I can do without spending too much time thinking about this, I can just copy and paste this error, and it will tell me what to do. And it basically tells me to separate the API route logic from the front-end component. I don't want to do this because I just want to use this component as a container for the data that's going to be generated by an LLM. So what I'm going to do is actually, now that I'm certain that this actually works and that fetch artworks, where is that called? Okay, artwork list. It generates the artwork list. Artworks. Okay, artwork 0 slice. Okay. I actually want this fetch artworks to be replaced by props that will be fed into this component directly. So I'm just gonna try and ask Copilot to do this for me. So I want this component to receive the properties marked by this method. Well, alter the code. I think that's it. And I'm just going to give it the method. It's fetch artwork, I believe. Yeah. Remove fetch artworks because it's not needed. Let's see how it does. Okay. So it did something. I'm not sure if it's okay or not, but oh, sorry. It's let's just do a copy action again. Delete everything and paste the new code. And I think, yeah. We have our type artwork, which accepts ID, number, image URL, art display, and a title. I think this is sufficient. I think this is enough. It will just receive this in the artworks array, and it will be an array of objects that have this signature. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy. I can work with this. Now let's move back to our actions. Okay, close everything that I don't need. This was my test page, which I don't need too. And then within my actions page, I will just import what it is. Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Copilot. Artwork gallery. Sorry, I'm in the wrong file. Okay, in my actions, actually, file, import, I don't know. Art, come on, do it. I'm lazy, do it. Do it for me. Oh, thanks. Okay, artwork gallery is here. And then we have our tools down below, where before we are able to complete the tool's signature, we first need to have a method that actually goes in and fetches the data from the API. So I'm probably going to go to Postman and then say something like this. Okay, there's a nice trick that I like to use. Each of these Postman requests is easily copied as a curl request. So I'll just copy this snippet and then go to Claude and say something like this. I have this JavaScript this API call that I like to write a JavaScript method for. This is the response it generates. And I'm just going to give it the response. Hope it's not too long. It's probably not. And then I'm just going to complete the information by including an example of a URL in order to create valid image URLs. You need to populate this template with an what it is, image ID. And I'm going to give it a template. And finally, I'm just going to instruct on the output. Please have the method return these the results as an array of objects aligned to this signature. And the signature will be, let's see, this. So I think that our prompt is pretty good. And I think that's it. Let's see what it does. Okay. So I really like this canvas feature, which kind of shows you everything in a separate window. All right, so it's done. Let's see what it's doing. So it created an async function for fetch artworks. It accepts the search query and the page and the limit. The limit is pretty handy. I'm just gonna I cannot edit this like I can in OpenAI's UI, which is also nice. I'll edit this later to have only 5. And then it just tries to fetch the artwork from this URL, response, throw an error. If it's not okay, artworks, data map, artwork score, image URL, artist ID. Okay, so it's it's providing an artwork score as an ID because I haven't provided an ID. All right, I can live with that. It just needs to be unique. Let's not just worry about it at this point. And then it returns artworks, catches errors, etc. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Let's just use this code and paste it into our actions TSX. Normally, I would split everything up in components, but right now I have it all in one kind of big file. So where should I put it? I'll put it here. Okay, there's something wrong here. Implicit has an any type. We can quick fix this with Copilot. All right, that looks much better now. And I think we are good to go. I'll just use the get weather example and get maybe artwork, and then the description will be get artwork yeah, that's nice. Gallery for a search query. Thanks, Copilot. Generate a sync function, yield, yeah, let's keep the loading component. Then I don't want the weather, I want artwork. And await, that's exactly what I want. Fetch artworks, but it's not location, it's, I know, how do we call it up there? Search query. All right, where are we here? Search query, and then let's return artwork gallery with artwork. Search query, another small problem here with type, I think. What did you do? I mean, okay. Fetch artwork, generate. I'm missing, yeah, I'm missing this. So it's actually the signature, and I think that we're fine now. With any luck, this will work. I'd like to see artwork of cats. Snaps. Let's do another try. I'm not really sure what the issue is, but I'm probably gonna try and fix this, and maybe, if it's possible, add the kind of conclusion to this video later and edit. Unfortunately, there is this bug with the React Server components in Next.js, which was resolved in 2023, but apparently has reappeared. So basically it's a long thread here in GitHub which describes this error, and apparently there's another issue that describes this error in more detail, but I was able to get this up and running. Let me show you. I'd like to see some artwork of dogs, and it will just go in and fetch the artwork, maybe artwork of cats. Okay, does that artwork of NOC. Yeah, basically it works pretty well, and I'm really happy with the results. Now, to conclude the code part, I needed to remove the use client directive here, and also remove the usage of the Next.js image component, because obviously these client-side components do not work well with server-side rendering. So take care, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.